Hello there, Stone Seekers. This is your boy Loco 4 here with Bear, and we're starting a new thing, a little show here just to talk, relay back about this game, Wonders of the First, and we're going to call this show right now Across the Realm. And how are you doing, Bear?
I'm keeping well, thank you very much. Of course, celebrating 4th of July from England doesn't quite hit the same, but yes,
Yeah,
keeping
I was
well.
going to ask, like, what did you do for the 4th of July? But I think you got teased enough in Discord a little bit, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think after
Absolutely.
a few hundred years that would end, but
Yes, indeed. Well,
yeah.
suffice to say, happy to be here. And of course, Across the Realm perhaps has a few separate meanings, different meanings today. Um, I look forward to getting into this. This is something that we've long discussed, and I look forward to getting started. So, Loco, how about we kick it off?
Yeah, let's do this. So, there's a little intro for us. One of the things we're going to do is try and keep this a little short and follow that seven realm idea. So we're going to try it on these seven topics today. And the first one is just what's with wonders? Discord bustling with the backer kit surveys. Fish telling us we should have received those emails, and then a blessing from the team. You saw what Frenchie posted, right?
Of course, yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
So as you get,
I mean that's something that Frenchie has been very instrumental in. It's a decision that we mulled over and debated as a team. And frankly, it seems like the right thing. You know, we made a commitment, we made a promise, and then this extra tax totally like hit us out of the blue. We had no idea that it was coming. Kickstarter had made no suggestion that it was, and so we figured it would be best and honourable to honour that commitment that we made. So a very bold move,
yeah.
but I'm glad that Frenchie really pushed the button on that.
Yeah, that was huge. I have my play group here in town. I mean, they didn't blink an eye. We're used to taxes and stuff, and then some
Sure.
people are bringing it up, and then we see that announcement, and I mean, that's pretty crazy. So as we get our backer kit surveys and you start claiming those rewards, remember, no tax on that. So that shipping cost that you paid up front and the cost for the reward tier is all we got, right? That's
Yes,
it.
sir. Absolutely.
Nice. Now, the important part of this survey, a lot of talk in Discord about what starter deck to choose because I don't know if everybody's getting all six plus some.
Mm,
I mean, I don't want to give out too much advice here, but I have some ideas. I think it was Onus in chat. He brought up a good point. I have the blog post here where it says breaking down the existing starters, and it looks like if you go Sophira or Heliosynth, that's the most unique cards, correct, of the
oh
starter
yeah,
decks?
for sure, for sure. Certainly the most mechanically unique cards. If you're looking for an established playstyle that makes sense, and one that you sort of can move into quickly, yeah, I would say those are not the orbitals. Heliosynth and Boundless are exciting, enigmatic. You can learn something from playing Heliosynth and Boundless for sure.
Nice. And I'm looking too at just the card list. So one strategy was, hey, I'm gonna get, so and so many different cards. And so when I look at this, it's on the wondersccg.com. You have to click on the blog post, and it says
Yeah,
breaking down the starter decks. And what, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Like it looks like it's all 30 cells in the table describing like Sulfura is full of cards. So to him, to Onyx, he's
yeah.
like, that's 30 different cards I'm going to get at least. Where when I look
Mm.
at like the Petraea starter deck, one, two, three, four, five, six of those cells in that table aren't full. So someone's arguing, well, I'm only going to get 24 different
Okay,
cards there.
sure,
So that's
sure,
one strategy he was thinking. What are your thoughts on that? Is that
sure.
one way to think about it right now?
I think that entirely depends on what your intention is in getting these starter decks. If it's from the perspective of collectability, then sure you might want to have a wider breadth. However, I mean, like even if you're a deck builder too, you might also prefer to have a wider breadth. But saying that, like when it comes to symbiosis, for example, you simply need to have more things that we haven't coined a phrase for this exactly, but sort of as an internal thing, we say symbiote with each other. Um,
Sure.
and so I think that's a consideration to make for sure.
So part of it is going to be sure you might get 30 different cards, but potentially let's just go to Patrai with the symbiosis. Potentially, that deck might have more of that symbiosis or
Yeah,
synergy. It might work a little better. So maybe it depends. Okay, if you're collecting and you just want cards, look at those card lists, maybe go with one that has more of those different cards or unique cards.
right.
But if you're going for play style, maybe drift a different direction.
Yeah, and also as a collectability consideration, although I think as a collector, people maybe wouldn't be getting the starter decks as often, right? Like they would rather be focusing on the boxes. Um, from that perspective, you have to consider that if a card has been printed more, by virtue of that, it probably will be less rare. And like we're just talking purely numbers here. So
Yeah.
that might be a consideration for collectors too. They might opt to get the boxes that have more unique cards,
That's a good
the starter
consideration. Now,
decks.
what about like doubling up? So one of my strategies in other
Yeah.
card games was I was a player first. So I'm not the player piece army, but like I was a player first. So what I would
Yeah.
do is I would go for the guarantee. So like if a structured deck came out and it's like, hey, we have one of these cards, I could have three in my deck. I'm buying three of
Mm,
those structured decks just
okay.
for that because I know I'm going to get it. So what about that strategy? Like if there's a secondary wonder here
Mm.
that maybe I only get one of in the starter deck, should I scoop up two or three if I really like that wonder?
I mean, that's a very good point, and I think what that does is it gives light to the fact that there is really no correct way to do this. It is entirely down to your preference, what you're looking for. But certainly, Loco, that's a great way to guarantee that you're getting the card that you want.
Yeah, I told someone I'm just going to roll the dice or just pick my favorite color too. I mean,
Yeah,
I agree. I don't think you're going to go wrong. We'll talk a little bit about the lore later on of the
sure.
different orbitals, but I mean, I'm looking at them right now, and it's like, I mean, at this point, it's like I like blue. Go with that.
Yeah, of course.
That's cool too. So I like that. You can't go wrong, right?
Yeah, totally. Of blue, do you prefer the sea or the sky?
Um, you know, I prefer the sky. I think that's pretty cool. Um,
Nice.
but that's what I love about Thalwyn is it's like I feel like that's a definite two for one. So to
Mm.
me, if you're just gonna get one, I mean, this is not advice, everybody, but the fact you have that sea and the sky with
Yeah,
Thalwyn, to me, I feel you could almost get two. I mean, each orbital is going to have different feels, right? But I feel like you could definitely
sure.
get two different feels just from that one orbital. But
Yeah,
there's the Umbra thing,
also.
which I'm a fan of because they got that light and shadow as well. So who
Oh yeah,
knows? Who knows?
for sure. And
I'm getting all six.
yeah, me too. For sure, for sure. Something that I think perhaps some of us haven't explored so much is the light side of Umbrathine. We often think about the dark, of course, um, but not only is there a lot of narratological or like lore space for light, but a ton of design space for light too. You look at a card like Raoul Lightbringer, for example, and just think about sort of that night and day option, or light and dark rather. um, yeah, there's a ton of design space, and I really look forward to sort of working with Brian as we release more sets and playing around with those ideas for sure.
Yeah,
Casting
that's what
shadows,
excites me.
yeah.
Yeah, as a player, I always enjoyed bringing decks that kind of unexpected, right? Like
Mm,
Umberthane, you're thinking, oh, there's going to be Death Strike, there's going to be Deny, we're going to see, demonic things or undead
yeah,
things, and you show up with something completely different, that existed. But I always enjoy stuff like that, where you show up with a deck and win or lose, it kind of leaves a mark on players, and like, dang, that
oh
was
yeah,
kind of fun. That's a cool idea. That's where my enjoyment comes from.
totally, totally. I mean, oh, just to check, am I still here? Yes. Okay.
Ah,
um
yeah, you do.
there's something about how starkly unique the decks are that I'm a really big fan of. And that's been a significant consideration going forward with this, is making sure that each deck feels different and plays differently. And yeah, just incredibly proud to be working on this team. And I mean, Brian is really a superhero.
I love it. So one thing when you talk about how they play, another option would be to get into that tabletop simulator or print and play, right? And just maybe play the different orbitals. And once you get a feel of the play style, maybe that could direct you to a starter deck of choice as well.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's a brilliant way to get your bearings, to understand the orbitals first, for sure. And of course, reading those, reading the orbital summaries on the website as well is like a great way to understand the feelings behind the orbital. Because I feel like half of the challenge, right, is just making a game that is like fun,
Sure.
but the other half of the challenge is tying in mechanics that feel like or tell the story of the orbital. And that's something that I think, I mean, frankly, if we we put a lot of time into it, so I would bloody hope that
Yeah,
that
well
everyone feels the same way as I do about it.
let's transition to that then. That's a great
Yeah,
transition. So here's my deal. I see two Wonders websites. We got wondersccg.com. You got
yeah.
print plays, you got the blog there. And when I
Mhm.
go to that website, I have a chance at the top to click the world. And then it's going to
Yes.
tell me like Petria orbital, so Fair orbital. So Petria is the top one. I click on
Yeah.
that, and it gives me a ton of information of
Oh
that
yes.
lore of that orbital. But I feel like this is a little secret, and I know it's not. But if you scroll all the way down, so Petria is telling me about the twin worlds, harmony adaptation. I mean, I'm scrolling this page. I have cards
Hmm.
flashing across. It talks about symbiosis. Talks about major factions of Petria. So we're getting into these stories. But as I scroll down, it says click this icon for an in-depth view of Petria. So I click the Petria icon, and then it takes me
Hmm.
to wondersotf.xyz. And
Yes.
that's where I feel it gets a little crazy. So I don't want to give too much, but if someone's watching here, make sure you click that orbital at the bottom, and you can definitely click, and then it shows. I mean, it's taken a while to load up on my PC here, but I'm in
Hmm.
Petria. It says view all art. It tells me inspired by the Latin word petra, meaning rock, etc. And that's one thing I want to focus on in this show. Bear with you is that
For
story
sure.
side. So even though I like to play games, if I'm playing like a role playing game or something, I prefer the story versus the dice rolling. So I prefer
Absolutely.
that
Yeah.
depth here. So yeah, so if you haven't already, I mean, that Wonders OTF XYZ site, yeah, or the CCG site, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Of
I mean,
course, it's a cheeky Easter
yeah,
egg. I think we keep it quiet just so we can keep the messaging consistent. But it's really for those, it's for those super fans, those super players, super users who, just want that extra context. They're given the chance to be rewarded for their curiosity, and we have sort of programmed in a number of things like that across the brand. So thank you for bringing light to that.
yeah,
Let's let it now dissolve back into the shadows.
yeah. Let's let it dissolve into the shadows of
Mm,
Umberthane and
yes,
move
precisely.
on. But yeah, there's out there, and I love the fact that you're not only trying to make a game, that's fun to play, but has that depth of that world as well. Okay, some
Mm.
came up. I don't know what kind of details we got. We were talking about this. What about this tournament? Do you have any details more to share about the tournament or
Right.
anything there?
So yes, as of yet, we have a format in mind, and effectively two formats based on how many people we are certain will be locked into playing. Um, I'm not sure how much we want to give away, but perhaps as a bit of, you know, jumping the gun proprietary knowledge, like I'll just let you guys know now that we plan to do two formats for our tournament, starting with Swiss groups and then moving on to a knockout elimination. With I'm going to keep the variables stum for now, but you guys will find out very soon.
Nice. I know people were asking about that, and no, this is a community run, community driven, correct? And
Exactly.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, so just a group, community here of Wonders of the First. Radish too, wants to put on a tournament, and we're learning too, right? We're going with it, provide a fun
Oh yeah.
atmosphere, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be fun and spice things up a little bit in the Discord, some friendly banter, and then
Yeah,
just get some more people playing as well. All right. Well,
absolutely.
thank you.
And as you said, it is a first run through, so we really are looking to, we're trying to make all the decisions that we believe will result in an enjoyable um, tournament. And look, if we miss the mark at all, then that's exactly where we begin to iterate. Um, and look, Blockpacks has historically always been about radical transparency and openness. And I look forward to leading this tournament with the exact same principles in mind.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to seeing what people come up with. My life, I have time to play the game, but sometimes not a lot of time to deck build and stuff. So I'm really excited to see what I can bite from. What can I
Oh
net
yeah,
deck and say,
oh
oh
yeah,
yeah, well, guess what? I can do it too. So all right. So
awesome.
speaking of cards, one stood out for a couple reasons for me. So I think in the
Yes.
show, it'd be fun to focus on a card. And so the card that stuck out to me is Knievel Wayfarer. And I believe that you played Rommel back. You guys did like a Wonders of Wine or something. And that was, he said it was inspired by Evil Knievel. What gets more USA than a man wearing a Stars and Stripes jumpsuit, riding motorcycles across
Yeah.
canyons? And I know there's been lots of discussion in different channels about this guy and what to do. And I'm looking at the print and play Knievel. He's a one cost, two power, boundless wonder. His flavor text gives a little away. It says, "Not all angels fight fair."
Mm.
He, on attack, if he's equipped, I'll read it verbatim. On attack, if this is equipped, you may move this to an adjacent realm, and it has flying. So we get lots of questions about this in gameplay discussion. And then when people find out, some people minds I think are just blown with what this guy can do. Others are like, that's not fair. And we tell them read the flavor text. So can you give us a little thoughts on this guy and what he's about?
um, yes, I certainly can. Um, Knievel Wayfarer doesn't fight fair, and that's integral to his story. I feel as though I should really sort of hold my tongue and try to distance myself from my biases when I talk about Knievel Wayfarer.
I don't know, man.
Um,
I go
yeah.
for it, man. We want to hear what Bear
Okay.
thinks.
Okay. Well, it seems that something. Try to be as diplomatic as I can. He is an incredibly unique, functionally unique wonder. Just to clarify what the flavor text means. Oh, sorry, what the card text means. It effectively means that you can be in realm 2 and attack in realm 3, and then come back to realm 2 after you've attacked. What this does is it effectively opens a player up to, you're no longer strategizing for one realm. In fact, you're strategizing for 3, and then those 3 are changing. So it makes a significant difference in the game state. Whereas there are decisions that you would have to make to protect one realm, you're now making to protect 3 realms. So I think it changes the wider strategy of someone who's playing Boundless, especially in the event that Knievel would be non-core. Um, there's been a lot of discussion in the design team about whether we should make Knievel Wayfarer core or non-core, and frankly, we're divided on it. But this is why we have the design meetings, and we have them sometimes as much as 4 or 5 times a week, for like what's meant to be an hour block, but usually ends up being like 2, 3, 4 hours.
Right.
I once got on a design call at 4:30 p.m. and it finished at 8 p.m. So it just happens that way. Um,
What do
but
you do? Do you think he's balanced? So one of the things is he has to be equipped to get that. He has flying. He's a 1-2 flyer, which
yeah,
I would say
exactly.
isn't atypical. So just playing Knievel out, he's a 1-2 flyer. He
Sure.
could come out first turn if you have a link out
Oh
with
yeah,
our current print and play deck. But
for sure,
what
for
about
sure.
that equipped thing? Is it? Do you think he's easier to deal with because he has to have an item out? What are your thoughts there? Is that balance
No,
that?
I think it's in an effort to balance him. But then you look at, I don't know, a card like Black Hole Blunderbuss, for example. Um,
Sure.
and now that one power wonder is not a one power wonder anymore. And it's also not, it hasn't been buffed by any small amount. This is it's a monster now.
Yeah, he's just
And
blasting every realm, and he could essentially
right,
skip. He could attack in three and then move to four too if it was open, right? He can. I feel like on one turn, if you just use all his attacks, he could essentially move across the
right.
realm back and forth. Yeah.
So there are questions as to whether I think it's overtuned. Do I think it's an incredible, exciting, and unique card? Absolutely. Do I think it's a little overcooked? Perhaps, but maybe only because of the incredible tools that it has for others. And so my big critique around the design of Knievel is, you know, I don't want to have to detune the other items which play so well into other cards for the sake of Knievel. Um, that being said, that being said, I also think it's my responsibility to be an adjudicator right now and not to just give you my
Right.
unbridled opinion. I think there are incredible facets to Knievel Wayfarer, and I'd be just as interested, frankly, more interested to hear what Ramel or Brian would say about it too, and to open up a discussion because, of course, I'm in a place of privilege, just being able to like run my mouth about a card that I think is
Sure.
overtuned. Um, yeah, but that's my 5 cents on it.
I
Yeah,
like it. So speaking of, you spoke of Knievel's strategy. One thing
yeah,
we'd like to talk about on Across the Realm is, you just given us like some strategy tips.
oh
So
yeah, for
do
sure.
you have, we'll put Knievel on the side for now till we maybe see
Hmm.
him again. Do you
I'll be
have
back.
a strategy tip? Yeah, right? He'll be back with another stunt to pull.
Yeah,
What's a strategy tip you could give, players? I think a lot of people are new to this, meaning,
yeah,
playing less than
yeah.
20 games or so. What's some strategy or tips you would give?
Absolutely. Well, I might just open up a kind of conversation, so to speak. Um, let's maybe talk about ramp versus late game combo. Um, you know, first of all, like what is ramp? Ramp is when you. This is for the uninitiated or for non-native TCG players. Ramp is when you build as much as you can towards just getting stronger and stronger and stronger over time, and then dominate in the late game. But really, um, ramping with aggro becomes quite a good strategy in Wonders of the First, especially if you're playing a deck like, if you're playing an orbital like Solfera. We're talking about getting Horde down early, getting power down early, getting more stones, and as a result, getting more energy. Versus perhaps something like late game combo. You think of Boundless, right? You've got late game like Ascend, nullifying realms, specifically items that nullify realm 7, and then locking down realms that you own. Um, of these, which kind of strategy do you tend to play, Loco?
So so it depends. I tend to play more ramp. I'm a
Sure.
fan of the pacing of the game, like starting slow and then moving more
Yeah,
complex. When I say slow, I mean like, pretty much that first realm, you're going to have three actions, and to me right
totally.
now, my perfect play, and I toyed around with this. I right now like try and get a wonder down right away and try and just capture that stone to gain energy advantage.
Totally.
Where a lot of people might think, oh, I'm going to put a land down first so my wonder doesn't cost me energy. But I look at my hand like, well, I'll pay that one energy right now to have that stone advantage. So then my opponent
Oh
has to
yeah.
react. And then I tend to like more of the ramp up and watch it play out. Other games, if I'm out of the meta for a while, I'll build a combo where not that I'm playing against my deck or against myself, but I know like whatever you do, I don't care as much. I'll pay attention to what's going on, but I want to get my combo out because then I know it might work as opposed if I don't know like what the current meta of a game is. So it really
Sure.
depends. For Wonders right now, it's more rampy for me. I like to do everything each turn, and I get satisfaction of seeing the stones move. So I get satisfaction. I feel like forcing priority on my opponent to say, guess
Yeah.
what? I have three stones. You have one. We're moving into round five. what are you going to do?
Right.
But because of that, sometimes those games end and I get, what, how did you win 5-2? Because of maybe that
Right.
late game combo that you don't see coming up because you're busy
Totally.
ramping up. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, those three had a send. And this guy,
Yeah.
what's going on? All of a sudden they're
Uh-huh.
just massive. And then all of a sudden they have 10 actions from, you've seen it happen and you're just like, oh
Totally.
no, what have I done? But for enjoyment wise, I enjoy a game, my style, playing up to that and every turn having stuff move around. I really like that rather than just sitting back and worry. Like I'm a
Totally.
warrior, so I would sit back and be like, I haven't taken any stones. I know my combo's in my
Mm.
hand, but is it really gonna go off or not? It's a little stressful
Indeed,
for me.
indeed. Next up on Wonders of the First, the psychological analysis of the player in
Right?
conjunction to how they play. Yeah,
Yeah,
that could
exactly.
be a
I
fun
imagine
segment.
that I imagine there's in games I've played. I think there are people I know that pretty much played one style. Like that's just no matter what
Yeah,
game
for
they
sure.
picked up, you knew like, oh, they're going to be playing like cheap cards and lots of cards on the field. Or
Oh yeah,
I got a guy in Magic. It's like he's always playing blue. He just wants to be able to do everything on this is old Magic, like everything on the board.
yeah,
He wants to be able to touch everything. It's always what he's going to do. So I
awesome.
believe that exists. That's
Yeah,
fun.
I mean, building off what you're saying, we have dynamic tools like Dwarven Vault, for example, which we're keeping as non-core. For now, it may change, but frankly, I think it will remain non-core just for how exciting it is as a dynamic tool. Tools like Dwarven Vault allow us to play a slower game, but they require item removal to be built into decks. So think of it like this, decisions like including Dwarven Vault in your deck change the meta. It's a little different to Newton's third law of motion, but it's not to say that every action has an equal and opposite reaction, but rather think of it like if you press one button, another one pops out. And frankly, that's my favorite part of playing TCGs. It's anticipating what my opponent built based on the meta that's formed around which cards are available and which are strong, and then making adjustments to then have the best advantage. And in a sentence, to me, um, because Wonders follows this same cardinal rule in its development, it's a great card game. Yeah, because with too much standardization or frankly mechanically identical reprinting, we miss out on this dynamic and like what I think is a really important aspect of TCG. As you know, Anthony has written below, Wonders of the First is a game that requires you to play in reaction to your opponent. Um, that's what makes it layered and difficult to master. And like the comparison that I've always drawn since the beginning of development is, when you're playing in realm one or realm two, you have a set number of parameters. There is a GTO decision that you can make. That's a game theory optimal decision. And it's like fairly straightforward to figure out what that GTO decision is or could be. But by realm seven, there are so many decisions that you could make that frankly, obviously we're looking for game theory optimal play. Um, but it's chess. It's chess by the seventh realm.
Yeah, and I know when we play, someone will break down their game and be like, well, this was the misplay here. Sometimes on wonders, it's sometimes it's hard to me to like really narrow down like what's a misplay. So the fact, like one of my favorite things that's fun is like ignore round one till the end, and all of a sudden it's like
Yeah.
I'll take realm one with one more power than you, and your opponent, you
Mm,
just get all wrapped up on that current realm or even watching it
yeah.
like ramp up. Sometimes you just kind of forget like that. So like when you're on like round 5 or 6, and you have all those choices on what to do, and the fact that Anthony did say, your reaction to your opponent. So like it's round 6, let's say I drop something in realm two, like all of a sudden your attention, you're probably looking at what am I going to do here is drawn back to that realm.
Oh
What
yeah.
did he just do? What did he just put down there? What do I have to do now? That's what I like about it
Absolutely.
too. It's not just an open field where it's like, well, I played my monster. I played it in this location, and it just so happens it's an equipment. Uh-oh, is Knievel coming next? Something like that.
There we go.
And how are you going to
Yeah.
respond? And like Dwarven Vault, the same thing. I feel that allows us to use the full spectrum of those cards. It's there. yeah, where's your item removal for my Dwarven Vault? Because now me, the
Exactly.
warrior who's ramping, I just took realm two, I Dwarven Vaulted it. Good luck. That stone's mine now. So now you have six to work with. So what are you gonna
Mm,
do? And
yeah,
so that's I
precisely.
like that too. I like your
Precisely.
thoughts there. Any other on
I
that, or you think?
yeah. I mean, I like how it forces us to be reactive, right? Like as you said, Dwarven Vault requires item removal, and in the same way, it's almost like a cycle, you know, like scissors beats scissors beats
Right.
paper, paper beats rock. Um, you know, well, I have a huge wonder who's going to be able to take this realm. Oh, well, I have Dwarven Vault to secure the realm. Oh, well, I have item removal. And it's that constant back and forth that keeps the game fresh and dynamic. And like I said, you know, the fact that we're not reprinting cards with the same function, um, you know, that to me feels like a really important step in ensuring that the game doesn't become stagnant, you know, and encourages us to be creative too. So it's a rare thing to be this much of a fan of something that I myself have my hands in the proverbial pie of, and it's amazing to grow with all of the incredible community members as well who are just giving us such invaluable feedback. And this really feels like it's grassroots and it's coming from the ground up. So maybe I'll just take this opportunity to say I really appreciate every single one of you for your contributions, and long may we continue to make this thing incredible. Yeah.
We like hearing that, Bear. That's awesome. Nothing really follow that. And we appreciate you as well. I'm sure lots of people would echo that sentiment. But yeah, the fact you're such a huge fan of it in the middle of it, loving that. Okay, so we talked a little bit about orbitals. We'll leave it at that. We'll start our focus
Mm,
on an orbital on our next show. But we do have a couple questions here. Joe Douglas
sure.
says, "What is your favorite card in Umbrathane, Bear?" So you have to pick a favorite Umbrathane card.
Oh, just one, is it? God, I have like three in mind.
He card. It's card. So yep,
One
you get
card.
one.
It's got to be just for how unique it is, and there are lots of options, right? There are many options. It's got to be Dark Magic Hydra, and the reason is just because it mixes in just about enough luck that Joe Douglas says top three is fine.
No,
um,
Joe, it's not. Don't let. We're not going to let him off the hook. He'll give us one, and he stated
uh,
he's got it.
yeah, it's Dark Magic Hydra. It is the fine line between strategy and luck. And you make an informed decision. Let's say your opponent is playing wide and low power, or they have a ton of like one or two power tokens, and you throw a Dark Magic Hydra on the board. Yikes! Um, yeah, it's a brilliant card. It's a brilliant card. Like one of my
Yeah,
favorites.
just for those who maybe not know, I'm trying to load up the deck here, but Dark Magic Hydra. I forget his power and cost, but that's the one where is it on arrival and then you're going to deny
Yeah,
cards and
so
then it's going to destroy them.
it's an on arrival. It might be an on play.
Here you go. I got it. I got it right here.
It's one of the
So
two.
eight cost, nine power, on arrival, deny
On
five.
arrival. Okay. Yeah.
If you played this from your hand, so it's kind of like an on play, right? So it's on arrival, you'll
Mhm.
deny. But if you had
Yeah.
played it from your hand, destroy all of the wonders with power less than the number of wonders you denied this way. Yeah,
Mm.
so there is some luck there. But like you said, if you had some little tokens out there, they're probably bye-byes.
Yeah, I mean, but that's also if you're playing Umbra theme, and let's say you've just played the new Pollen Spewer, and you've got all of these tokens that have just been generated because of Pollen Spewer. You've got like six, let's say. All of those are going into your abyss, and perhaps giving power to someone like Bayon Balthor, who gets +1 for every card in your abyss. So there's just some insane combos that can be done, and it's funny. It's almost Umbrathine encourages you to just destroy your own cards. It's-
Yeah, this might be a play where you're like,
birth from
I want
chaos.
my guys in the abyss. I want my guys in the abyss. So now this guy that wasn't as powerful now is now massive, and good luck
Joe
dealing with
Douglas,
him.
new pollen spoiler teaser. No comment.
No comment. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. We'll find out, Joe. We'll find out. All right. So thanks for that input. Would you say Umbrathane is your favorite orbital then? This is not to sway anybody to purchase any starter deck of any sort, but you'd say Umbrathane's your favorite?
Yes. However, I have to address my own biases. That's because like a lot of the art from Umbrathine, like I did a lot of the art from Umbrathine. It was basically my central focus, and then also a number of the design principles for Umbrathine too, for sure. So yeah, it's absolutely my favorite. Yeah.
So you're saying that Hydra potentially is going to be our tournament champion? Like that's who you're rooting for? We haven't talked about our not tournament, like our your bracket that you built, the best of the wonders, right? Emma
Well,
Shockbite currently is up there.
yeah, I don't necessarily choose Hydra because it's the single best Umbrathine card, but Hydra is so much fun to play and it's so rewarding that we actually, even as a rarity decision that we made, was we should take Hydra down from Mythic to Epic, just frankly so that more people can play this card. And it's one of the
It's a
only
lot of fun.
instances where we've done that. It's a legendary wonder, but it's Epic instead of Mythic.
Yeah, Hydra. It's fun to play. I mean, I play
Yeah.
games for fun. I'm going to be, as this progresses, I'll probably be more of a, I guess they call me a kitchen counter player than in the
Yeah,
shops trying to
sure.
like win tournaments. And so that's a fun one where you play it, and to me, it's like you and your opponent both look down to the card, and then you both look up into each other's eyes, and then you both look over at my deck, and then you see like what is this guy gonna deny, right? And you're just sitting there,
Yeah.
both of you are waiting, and it's like you flip one over, it's a
Yeah.
spell, right? And so then I'm like, oh, then my opponent's, ooh, yes, and then it's a wonder, right? And then you deny him, and that's what's fun about the game, especially a late game kind of more card. Looks
Absolutely.
like this might be like a round 6, 7 if you're lucky card, maybe 5,
For sure.
maybe. But that's
Yeah.
what's fun about the game. I love
Totally.
RNG in games, and then to me, like the payoff of this, especially if you have wonders on the board that potentially you want in your abyss. Yeah, the
Yeah.
payoff of that card is it's like you said, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's like
I like cards like that.
it's like Umbrathine Vegas, baby.
Yes, and why not? Why not? No,
Yeah.
I love it. All right, well, I'm not seeing any other questions. I mean, Sonny says Knievel's a badass, which I would say is true.
Agree.
You got a little smack talking from Joe there. Just doesn't get old there. But yeah, I would say,
sure.
that's all I really have, unless you have something else to add for our first go at this.
No, I had a great time today, and of course, let's keep it rolling. Absolutely.
Yeah. Keep it rolling. I tried to come up with the tagline. These are the random loco shower thoughts. Before I get to that, though, I do have a call of action for anyone who's watching or going to watch this. Don't forget to complete that backer kit email. I haven't yet. Did a little traveling for the holiday, and then once that announcement came out from Frenchie, I just kind of waited a little bit, and then so complete that, and then play a match this week. Try Tabletop Simulator if you need help getting that. I have people asking me, and I keep dropping the ball a little bit, but we can get you to the right people to help, or print.
Sure.
I mean, even one of the decks or two, and play a match in real life just to see what it's about. Train for the tournament, or play to see what orbital you like, maybe what play style you want to pick for your starter. So complete your backer kit, email survey, and then play a match. All right, now for the cheesy tagline. Here we go.
Yeah.
So as we exit, don't forget, Stone Seekers, to keep seeking the wonders in life.
Brilliant.
Yes, no chat GPT. That's right from this crazy brain right here. All right,
Well,
Bear. It's
Loco,
it's
it
been
has been an
awesome,
honor.
man.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I love talking to you, man. Always puts a smile on my face.
Likewise, man.
So
Big time.
with that, I guess it's evening there. You're out evening.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Just
So
closing
enjoy your
up.
evening, man.
Thank you, sir. All the best, guys.
Yeah. See you guys.
Cheers.